Maybe somebody on their bike will fall.
Hello and welcome back. This week I'm excited because the Wandering Jellyfish Bookshop a couple months ago went to a conference. Not the entire bookshop, unfortunately, it was just the owners, but they met a ton of super cool authors. They got some swag and whatnot. Some of that swag was this arc of Nora McInerney's Bad Vibes Only. It's going to be coming out October 2022, and it was so good. So it's a collection of essays by McInerney. It's about 19 as of this version. I can't technically quote any of it just in case it gets edited between this being created and then the actual book coming out. But it's really entertaining. McInerney kind of blends observational comedy with personal anecdotes and just kind of like self-reflection. It actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Shifting Forward from a few months ago, where Carrie Jane Knowles talked about life, essentially. McInerney does the same thing. She talks about life. She talks about like how bad things can kind of happen to anyone, and how we as a society value, for example, beauty, and we'll do anything to avoid like growing old, but at the same time we're also constantly telling ourselves to embrace it and to embrace like the no makeup look or stuff like that. She also talks about, for example, like parenting and wondering if this is good. It's just all so approachable, so funny, so unique. I love how McInerney uses a personal anecdote or observation to kind of address a bigger topic, whether that's something like belonging or something that's a little bit more concrete like parenting. Since I've mentioned that twice, for example, I'll just kind of loosely talk about one of her chapters about competitive parenting, how like no matter how hard you try, you're going to always be in competition with other parents. They're always going to be someone who thinks that their style is better, and how kind of at the end of the day you just gotta have to figure out what works for you. And I know that that's probably a very banal, not incredibly original stance to take, but I just thought that the way that she talked about that whole idea was super entertaining, and as someone who does not have kids and is not in a position to anytime soon, it was just really interesting because it was kind of a fresh perspective that I hadn't thought of, that was kind of like, I wonder if that's going to be the same in however many years. Or like on the note of essentially social responsibility and social awareness. She has this chapter where she talks about one of her kids just kind of constantly asking like, is this good? And how she has this kind of inner dilemma, and to some degree outer dilemma, answering her kid, because it's like, well, this thing might be good for some people, but it might not be good for others. And she kind of expands that beyond, where it's like, in this world where so many people are preaching being socially aware and being activists and whatnot, it's kind of like, how do you choose? And I just really like how, in a gentle, very approachable way, McInerney basically says there isn't one right answer, and we're all just trying our best, and that's okay. That kind of mentality of it's okay gets brought back up in the end. In the final chapter, where she talks about basically the idea of like toxic perfectionism, and that's kind of a theme that runs throughout the book, but here she addresses it head on, and how she's just so tired of it. And I think we're all tired of it, just like I think, and she also kind of addresses the idea of like toxic positivity in a lot of kind of more nuanced, subtle ways, but basically that like we're all trying so hard all the time that it's just exhausting. And it is. And her observation about it is just so relatable. It's so engaging. It's a lot of times really funny. I love how she's really self-aware and kind of a little self-deprecating at times. Yeah, so I don't want to give too much away because it's still coming up around the corner. But I think if you like realistic nonfiction, if you enjoy that kind of essay format, this is definitely a book worth checking out. The essays themselves aren't super long because, like, as you can see right now with this advanced reader copy, it's pretty short. It's only right around 200 pages and there are 19 chapters within there. So each one is around 10, give or take. Some might be a little longer, some might be a little shorter. So I think if you like that style of writing, this is something worth checking out. I can't think of too many kind of like flags or warnings, other than the fact that like she does sometimes talk about heavy-ish topics because it's informed by her life, and she's had some kind of tragic things happen, like her husband died of brain cancer, and she's talked about that in some other books and also in this one as well. But yeah, I think just overall it's a really good look at modern life, and yeah, it's entertaining. So thank you again to the Wandering Jellyfish for recommending this. Look out for it come this October. I really think you'll like it. Next week I'm partnering with another local bookshop. It's Inkberry Books, a repeat book lender to this channel. It's going to be Black Earth by, I'm not sure how to say his name, Jens Mooling. Kind of cool thing about this book is that it was translated from German into English by Inkberry Books owner Jean Hayworth. So it's called, like I said, Black Earth. Its subtitle is A Journey Through Ukraine. It looks to be nonfiction just from everything that I've kind of checked out so far. And I'm excited to share my thoughts on that with you next week. So, hope to see you then, and in the meantime, happy reading and thanks.